The Star Wars galaxy as a whole, or the primary galaxy now that we've been to another with Ahsoka, is nearly limitless, possibly infinite as ours is still growing. Estimates say there are over 400 billion stars and 3.2 billion habitable systems. All of these celestial bodies orbit around a massive black hole known as the Galactic Center. This galaxy is divided into regions. Those regions break down into sectors. The sectors are broken down into systems, which each contain one or more planets. These planets contain millions of sentient species. To make all of this manageable, a Standard Galactic Grid was established so coordinates could be plotted on charts and maps. The innermost portion of this galaxy is called the deep core. This is where the center is. There are countless stars and other space anomalies here, making exploration next to impossible. It's also where that giant black hole I mentioned is that binds the galaxy together. Gravitationally, not through the Force. Outside the deep core, where exploration and gravity is more manageable, are the core worlds. These are some of the richest and most prosperous planets in the entire galaxy. These worlds lead the trends on economics, fashion, education, and technology. It's said that human life began on the core worlds. Some notable planets are Coruscant, the historic center of the reigning galactic government, Corellia, and Hosnian Prime. Expanding slightly from the core worlds were planets called the colonies. These were settled by core world beings and sat along trade routes. Cato Nemoidia, home of the Trade Federation, is one notable planet here. The Inner Rim is the first area beyond the core and colonies. When these areas were first being settled, an expansion that took centuries, it was just referred to as the Rim, as it was on the outskirts of civilization for the time. Notable planets here are Onderon, Riosa, and Jakku. On a star map, Jakku appears to be out on its own. This isn't necessarily true. Even though the Inner Rim is relatively close to the core and has been housing civilizations for years, there is much of it that is still unexplored. The mid-rim territories were far enough from the core worlds to avoid some of the trappings of notoriety that comes with popularity. Many planets here have firmly established governments and thriving economies. Life in the mid-rim is good overall. They are still considered civilized and well-populated, but not so densely populated that there wasn't a sense of freedom. The downside was being slightly further from the core that some of the trouble of the outer rim would find its way in. Many inhabitants of the galaxy considered this the unofficial end of laws governing the galaxy. Notable planets include Naboo, Kashyyyk, and Ord Mantell. Expanding further from the core, we get to the largest area of the known galaxy, the Outer Rim. Planets in the Outer Rim are largely considered to be lawless, and in many cases, that's a fair assessment. Pirates and criminal organizations thrive in the Outer Rim. Some notable planets here express the variety of what could be found. Tatooine was a desolate planet controlled by crime syndicates. Kessel is a varied planet that boasts slave mines for drug cartels, raw materials needed for fuel, and even sanctuaries. And breaking with the common Outer Rim narrative is Mon Cala, a well-established planet with beautiful cities, a strong and just government, and incredible technological advancements. Beyond the Outer Rim are the unknown regions. Space exploration here is very dangerous, and hyperspace travel is exceedingly difficult. Because of this, much of the unknown regions are unexplored. Despite numerous important planets, Ilum, where the Jedi would bring younglings for kyber crystals, Exegol, a planet dominated by the dark side and Sith zealots, and Ahch-To, a planet strong in the Force where the Jedi Order was first established. Even advanced civilizations like the Chiss and their enemy, the Grisk, call the unknown regions home, though those living on the rims or in the core know little of them. And surrounding all of this, very distant from the core, is wild space. There are sentient species out in wild space as well. Throughout galactic history, many have tried to either map or find their fortune in wild space, most ending with disastrous results. There are smaller satellite galaxies around this main one. Auric, more commonly known as the Rishi Maze, Besh, also called Fire Fist, Kresh, and Grek. Ahsoka Tano traveled to a planet called Peridea, but we've not been told what galaxy Peridea resides in. Given the infinite nature of space, it's likely Peridea isn't in any one of these smaller 4 satellite galaxies. While not exhaustive, I hope this look at the larger galaxy helps explain some of the layout and scope of the primary Star Wars galaxy. Drop a note in the comments if you want me to dive deeper on any sectors or even individual planets as we continue exploring this. I've included sources for where I did my research for this video in the description if you want to check it out and dive deeper yourself.